This video content is strictly for educational purposes only. All demonstrations, techniques, and information provided in this video are meant to help you understand cybersecurity better. We strongly advise against using any of this information for illegal activities or unethical practices. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
All right, welcome back again. We are going to do something different today. We're going to hack into a very beginner box, very beginner box with lots of hints. I like this box, but it may not be the best for high school students because the word list has got some words in it. I think I'm going to change it. I think I'm going to go in there. We're going to hack into it. Then we're going to change some of the content, reapply that because I feel like it's a really good box. I really do. And I feel like if you're part of CyberPatriot or maybe you're in a high school, this would be a fantastic first-time box for students, except for some of the cuss words. So what I'm going to do is we're going to hack it, and then I'm going to go in, I'm going to modify the box, republish the box on my Google Drive, so that if you're part of CyberPatriots, if you're some high school team and you want to input this box onto your existing infrastructure and give students an opportunity to actually hack into it, it's more, PG rather than rated R. So let's see if we can't go through this. Let's get started. First thing I need to do right off the bat, as always, and I need to find the box. So I'm going to do it in map and then SN, and we're just going to hit that last slider right there. You can probably tell that my voice is giving out. I probably don't sound the same as I normally do. Too much teaching, too much teaching. All right, so we can identify this box being on 117. I'm assuming, or 116. Let's find out where we're at. We're going to do an ifconfig. And we're on 116, so our box is on 117. With that said, let's do our normal item of test. I'm going to do a switch p switch. Remember, that's going to hit all 65,000 plus of the ports, and then we're going to run an aggressive scan against it. I usually use this if I'm in a CTF type of environment. If I'm not, then I usually just do an SV or even a -O. But when I'm doing a hacking competition or if I'm hacking a box in a lab, this is usually the best command that I often use. It just gives me a lot of information right off the bat. While that's running, I'm going to go ahead and hit the website just because it might add some information for us. So we'll do 192.168.56.117. And we can see welcome to First Blood. For example, when you find a web page, you should also view the source, and it tells you to hit the source, which we're going to do. And this is one of the reasons I like this for a first-time box, is it really goes in and it kind of explains what you should be doing right off the get-go, right? So far, nothing too bad until we get to the word list, but this really doesn't tell us anything, right? So what you're seeing here is HTML, not visible on the page. You can see, well, I've got your attention. You should check out the rambo.html. And so we could go over here, and we can do a /rambo.html. And here you can see that it gives us some more hints. It tells us we could run a switch p switch, which we've already done to hit all those ports. It also says that we should do nicto right there. So we'll go ahead and run nicto. While that's running, I've already had that up. Let me start another terminal. Bring that sucker up. We're going to do nicto tac h and then 192.168.56.117. It's going to run through its process. Let's go into here, and here we can see that it gives us port 80 is open, which we already knew because we visited the website. But then it's telling us there's a HTTP text document. There's a subdomain of Johnny Rambo, and so we know there's a robots.txt. So I'm going to grab that. We're going to copy that selection, head over here, and then I'm just going to open up a new terminal. We're going to do 192.168.56.117 / and then that robots.txt. And we can see that disallow Johnny Rainbow. We're going to go ahead and view that page source information. It doesn't give us any information. It's just to provide that. And that's pretty typical of these types of sites. So, yeah, so we've got that. We've got Johnny Rambo, and it just says user agent, yada, yada, yada. And we're not really seeing anything yet. So let's see what else pops up. We go back over here. We can see the Johnny Rambo. I'm going to grab that directory, copy that, go back into our little thing right here. And I'm just going to open up a new tab, and we're going to do 192.168. You'll notice that I'm opening new tabs every time I find an extension. And the reason is because it's easy in a CTF machine to kind of get released, right? All right, so it gives us a syntax, and it's saying cool-w.words, and I can tell you that the student can read through this, right? And it'll pull up a word list or words.txt. So I'm going to grab that. The other great thing about this is that it provides us the modifiers for the command. So for instance, it tells you that, tac W is for output, tac D is for depth. So it really goes through and explains it very, very well. And I appreciate that, I really do. However, it goes through this little thing down here that kind of goes through it, which you may not want your students to actually go through, depending on their age group. You may not care, you may not, but whatever, right? So I'm going to grab this command right here. I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to go back into a new terminal. So let me open up a new terminal. There you go. Blow this up a little bit. I'm going to paste that command in there, but I need to change the IP address because, again, we're not on 86.1132. So I'm going to do 56.117. I'm going to go through that. It's going to download that. So I hit ls, and then I've got that words.txt right there. And then I can run a cat against that words.txt. There are some words in here that I don't appreciate, especially for something that's such a beginner box that I would use in a high school environment. And so, like I said, I'll go through and fix that so that you can use this in your classes. Let me go ahead and shut that down. All right. So from there, if we continue to read, we can see in the word list, in this web directory, you should access ssh.html. So I can grab that and copy it, and then it's saying in the same directory. So at the very end, I can paste it, and then it goes in and it gives me another command. And it can go through and you can read through this, and it even tells you a syntax to run. And then it, again, just like before, it gives us the information for that syntax, which again, I really appreciate for a new box for somebody for the first time. So I'm going to grab this command. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to open up yet another new terminal. Blow that sucker up. And I'm going to right click and paste selection. And again, I need to change the IP address, right? So again, 56.117. Now you'll notice some things here, right? SSH dash switch S, TAC S, and it's providing that 60,022. And the reason it's doing that is because if you go into here, right, into our verbose, you can scroll down and you can see that this 60,022 port is actually for SSH. So SSH isn't operating on the normal port of just 22. They've added to it. Now our students could have found that, and that's fine, right? So again, not a problem. So let's go back into our hack, into our Hydra, and it really showcases Hydra, which I appreciate. So we're gonna hit enter on that, let it do its thing as it's going through. Let's go to Nikto, and because I really didn't use Nikto, but it requested it. From Nikto, you can see again we have that robots.txt to give students a hint. Again, robots.txt to give students a hint, and you can kind of go through that process and see what's going on within it. You may get students that are going to try to run dirb. Dirb doesn't really pick up a lot. So if I do a dirb and then do a, what is it, 192.168.56.117, it'll go through and start running it, but it's not going to find Johnny Rambo. I mean, look, it found robots.txt and it found a word list to share, which is common, right? But it doesn't tell you, yeah. So you can go through this. And you really kind of have to know how to read Nmap, which is really nice. And I like that portion of it. I really do. All right. So with that said, let's get back into Hydra and see if it found anything yet. And it's just running. And this is where patience is key when it comes into something like this, right? So I'm going to pause the video until this gets through. So once Hydra gets done, we can see here that we've got our login of Johnny, and then it provides us a password of Vietnam. So now we just need to log into SSH. And so we could do SSH, and then we just have to put Johnny at, and our IP address, 192.168.56.117. And then we just hit enter. Because it's on the wrong port, I forgot we have to do that colon of 60022. It doesn't like that, so it's going to be TAC P 60022. There you go. We want a fingerprint, and then it's going to ask us for the password, which is Vietnam. Throw that sucker in there, and we should get access into the system, but I typed it in wrong apparently. Oh, I didn't do a capital V. So Vietnam. And now we're in. So now I can do an ls. There's a readme text, and I can do a cat, and then readme.txt. I have to do it all in caps because why not? Let's make sure that we understand Linux. So readme.txt, just like that. And it tells me, nice job, you're cruising along nicely. We find ourselves on the web server, it tells us that the server is running Nginx for the setup, so I left things as default. If we look at the configuration file, yada, 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 it's kind of noisy in output. We can clean it up with the following, and it tells us how to find that. When we clean it up, the line starting with root points to the web directory. Move to the web directory to see if there are any files to read. And then, so it's telling us to move in the web directory to see if there's any files once we've obtained root access. And so we can go through that process. So if I start with this, I can just grab this entire line right here because it tells me what to do. I can copy that selection and I just throw it in the menu, paste it like that, and it provides me the server, listen default, so on and so forth, and it gives me some good information right here, right? And so we can see root variable www.html. Now, we should have already been able to do that, right? I mean, but it's important to understand it, right? So www.html, or I should say /. We're in the directory, I hit ls, and I can see the readme.txt here. So now I can do cat, and again, I can do that readme.txt, and then it tells me some good stuff, right? It says all kinds of stuff. Nice work. Find the etc name, password, print. This will generate some permissions, denied errors along the correct response. We can redirect errors. We can do dov null. If we're running, we can find type 2. We can do all this other stuff. If we fine tune this, we can do find yada yada yada. Grab me to readme.txt. So again, it tells us exactly what to do. Right? It tells us how to do it. I can copy that, and then I just throw that in there, paste selection. And it's going to go through, and it's provided me the output, right? There we go. Now I can do an ls, and you can see that nothing really changed in here at all. So it's, again, requiring us to read through it, which is kind of nice. So we see the options.readme. So I can do a cd /opt/readme.txt. Go through that. It's being a little bit mean to me. So since it's saying it's not a directory, I can do cat and then /opt/readme.txt, just like that. And now it's giving me, there's another user on the server that might be of greater privileges, and we can see blood and then hack the planet 2020. And so from here, I can just literally go in and do a sudo su. It's going to ask me for the password, but I don't want to use Johnny. So I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to go off and do its thing and hit Control C. So what would I do? Well, I would have to log in with that. So I can do su and then blood. I think it's -blood. It's like that. It's asking me for the password. And again, I just grab hack the planet 2020 and we grab that password right there. Copy selection and then paste clipboard. And there we go. Now we're at blood at first blood. Now I can do an ls and I can read that readme file just like this. .txt. And then it says, I didn't think you needed to be told about the readme.txt. I was really stoked about you cruising along. Nice work. If you move into the home directory, we can see home directories for other users on the server. There's a user directory with some text files. Attempt to read both. So now I just need to go to the home directory. From the home directory, I'm going to do an ls. And here we can see that we've got different directories associated with it. So I could go into blood. I can go into first blood. If I do first blood, it's going to knock me out and say no. Permission denied. So I'm going to do cd and then sly. From there, I can do an ls. And now I see the readme and I see the readme first. If someone tries to do the readme first, it's going to say no. So we're going to do the cat and then readme _first, with caps first. That's another thing that I kind of enjoy about it, believe it or not. It's annoying as all hell, but I like the fact that they put the caps in there because it's going to force students to realize that there is a difference between lowercase and uppercase in Linux. Now, if I go through this, it kind of tells me what I need to do next and how to go through that process. And it says to do a sudo -l. And so we would do a sudo -l like that. And then it tells me some good information on here. It says the matching defaults. It goes through the process. And then it says the user blood may run following commands on first blood. And so we need to change users. And again, this comes into play where we're kind of slowly taking off the training wheels, right? And so we want to go in and log in as user Sly. So to do that, we're going to do sudo -u or -u, and then Sly for our username. And then we want to grab all of this right here. So we're just going to grab all that. Copy that, and then throw it in there. So we're going to paste selection, and then it's going to ask for the password for blood. And if you remember correctly, we had the password for blood. It's that hack the box kind of thing. So I'm going to click that in there. I went ahead and copied it or pasted it, copied it off of the item. I'm going to click that in there, and it should. Nope, doesn't like that one. And when you're doing that, make sure when you write it down, you get all the stuff in there, right? In my case, I forgot a exclamation mark at the end. So in case I forget, my password is Sylvester Stallone, right? So I'm going to grab that one. That gives me the password. I'm going to write that in a log off to the side. I usually have my log on a different screen. But yeah, and then it says, P.S. I think I gave us sudo privileges. I think this might be dangerous, though, because I found a website. And then it gives us a website. It shows possible privilege escalation for root. I'm totally going to check it out. Root files, hint, hint. And so it literally gives me a website. Now I've got this set up as a host only, so I have to actually go there in a different window on my core box. So from here, I need to do a switch user again, and then Sly, and there we go. It's asking for the password. I've got that password right there, so I'm going to paste that, and there we go. Now we're in as Sly. First thing I always do is that ls command. And again, we can see that readme first because that's apparently one of the things we want to do. So we're going to do cat and then readme.txt. And we can see here, in case I forget, it provides me basically what we just literally read. So now I can do that readme.txt. So I'm just going to press the up arrow and then do the readme_first. See if anything changes. And we can see here that it's reminding us again to do the sudo ella command. So we can do a sudo, not in caps, come on, Chet, and then sudo -l. And from here, it's giving us a different default here, right? So again, we can see the all users, and it's basically saying, hey, FTP this time. Again, it's teasing us with root access, but it's throwing out that FTP for us. So now we can do a sudo FTP, just like that. It's asking for that same password as before. I'm just going to go ahead and paste the clipboard in there. And now we can see we're in FTP. Now from here, your students are probably going to do an ls. And they're going to see they're not connected. They'll probably have some other commands as well. But what we really want to do is try to gain root access. And so from here, you can go back to that website that they provided. However, it's not exactly user-friendly. And they'll probably bang their heads against it. If they need a hint, tell them something like Born Shell and make them research that. For us, we're going to do a exclamation mark, a /bin, and then a /sh. This should get us root access, and I'm going to put ID in there. And here we can see that I have, in fact, root access. So that's getting us everything that we needed to do in order to get root access into the system. And I can see here if I do an ls now that I've got that readme and I've got that readme txt. So we've done it. We've gotten root access. That's as far as we needed to go.